So we're going to talk about dot plots and do some practice today. Making dot plots is pretty simple. You did this in 4th grade. If you're given a table with a lot of jumbled up information, you're just taking that information and organizing it. That's really what it is when you get down to the nitty-gritty. You take some sort of frequency and you're going to make a line. There are some words you need to know and different things you need to know when making these and creating these. The questions are going to be pretty simple, with the exception of some new fraction and decimal stuff. You're going to have to apply what we learned the first part of the semester, last semester. So on this, what's the smallest number in this? 3. And the largest? 8. So I need to make sure my lines start at 3 and end at 8. The difference between the largest number and the smallest number, this is really important. This is a new 5th grade thing. This is called your range. Your range is going to just be 8 minus 3, which is 5. There will be questions on this, on different problems that will ask you what the range is. You take the largest and the smallest. Now, I'm going to fill in the spaces in between. 4, 5. Now, do you see a 6 here on this line? No, I can't skip 6. I heard that a lot of kids will try to because there's not a 6. But if you start with 3 and go to 8, you have to put 6, even if there's not a 6 in your data set. I put those a little too close together. So now I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got it all labeled here, and I'm going to start at 3, and I'm going to just count the number of 3s I have in the row and put a dot over the 3. I don't like doing dots. I like doing X's. I see 1 3 here, so I'm going to put 1X. I'm going to write 1 and I'm going to circle it. When you're answering 3 or 4 questions over one dot plot, it's annoying to count the dots and the X's multiple times over and over. If you just write the numbers over it, it will make it much more simple and keep you from making silly mistakes. So now, how many 4s do I have? 2. I'm going to make 2 X's, write 2, and I'm done. How many 5s do I have? 1, 2, write a 2, and I'm done. How many 6s do I have? 0. So I skip 6. How many 7s? 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm left with 2 8s. When you get down to the last one, if there's an extra 3 or an extra 7 in the row that doesn't get crossed off, then you know you missed one and you need to go back and fix it. Does that make sense? The biggest thing I see kids do on this is they go too fast and they miss one of the numbers. Okay? So a lot of these are just answering questions about the difference between the combined numbers, things like that. You will see a lot of fractions and decimals on these. If I have one that looks like this, and let's say I'm measuring height of plants I'm growing, and I say this is a dot plot on height of plants. Sorry. Height of plants. There's always going to be some sort of title. Each X on this one represents a what? A plant, okay? So you need to know what each dot or X represents. So on this one, if I say this is a table showing height of plants in inches, each X represents a plant that I have measured and plotted on my data table. Does that make sense? The range would be what? It would be 3/4 minus 1/4, which is 2/4, and 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Do you see? So your range, good question there. Your range is going to be the difference between the largest number and the smallest number. So on this one, your range would be 3/4 minus 1/4, and 2/4, as you guys said, is going to be 1/2. Does that make sense? If I said, what is the total height of all the plants that are 3/4 inch? What would you do to solve that?
Add 3/4 times 4. No. 3/4 times 4. 1/4 times 4, and then add this.
No.
What?
I just said, what is the total height of all the plants that are 3/4 inch? You're on the right path. Sydney, thank you. I'm just going to do 3/4 times 4. I'm going to turn it into a fraction. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that means that the total height of all plants that are 3/4 inch is 3 inches, because this is 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, and 3/4. So be careful on those, because combining the X's or dots and having to multiply them is really the only tricky thing they throw into this one.